hello, beekeeper friends. It's good to see everybody after the Nobby. And tell you what, if you went, you had a good time. I know I had a great time, and so I made a special video. I haven't made a video in over a year, so I made a little video, and we're gonna get Lee to play that real quick, and then we're gonna open up the live chat to everybody tonight, and we'll just have a good conversation and enjoy yourselves.
I have just created something totally illogical.
That's what I like about it.
If you build it, he will come. If you build it, he will come.
If you build what, who will come?
You didn't say.
I hate it when that happens.
Me too. I think I know what "if you build it, he will come" means.
Ooh, why do I not think this is such a good thing?
Daddy, there's a man up there on your lawn. Are you a ghost?
What do you think?
You look real to me.
This is really interesting.
You believed in the magic. It happened. Isn't that enough?
Annie, it's more than that. I feel it as strongly as I've ever felt anything in my life. There's a reason. Go the distance. Did you hear the voice too? Did you hear it?
Go the distance.
Yes.
Our Grave is dead. He died in 1972.
Are you Moonlight Graham?
No one's called me Moonlight Graham in 50 years. Unbelievable.
It's more than that. It's perfect.
It reminds us of all that once was good.
Hey, is this heaven? No.
Fixing to see something that is beautiful and awesome, and it's just been really special. It is the jewel in the crown of the beekeeping here in North America. And I won't get into too many details because I like all the hardworking folks to be able to represent themselves. I want to say a few.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I got to thinking about the Field of Dreams with Cayman Reynolds, and if you build it, they will come. And some of y'all probably don't know some of the history of me and Cayman, but he called me probably that first year and had a long conversation and told me what he had thought he wanted. He wanted a trade show. He wanted something that was just incredible, that people can bring product, that they can get a good discount, and people can come together as a group. And, so it just makes me think of the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And there's a lot of people that was there, the vendors building new products. backyard beekeepers coming up with new ideas, which I think is incredible, and getting to be a part of something that's amazing. So, um, like some of you guys was there, you can get on here tonight and let everybody know how your experience was. But this was really the first year that I got to sit back and enjoy it. We sold out our second day, and we had enough people. I just played the rest of the time of the conference and got to talk to a lot of people. And that's those connections is important to me, and that's what I enjoyed the most was you guys that are on the chat here tonight, and other people that we made contact with that normally we wouldn't do that. That you would never meet these people, but the expo brought everybody together. So um, yeah, Spanky, how you doing tonight, brother? He must have his on mute still.
I'm doing good. David said there was an echo in the chat there, and I didn't know if it was me.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
It could have been me. I had my phone up too.
I was
So
seeing if he was going to say that it disappeared or what have you,
I got you. I got you.
but he
So
ain't. He hadn't said nothing else.
right. Hey JP, I appreciate you talking about Ruth's artwork. She really does take a lot of pride in her artwork, and gosh, it's like I need that hive right that second. And she's like, no, I've got to, um, I've got more detail I want to put on it, and it might take her a month to do one of them, guys. And uh, it's really amazing, and I'm glad she does it. She's got some really good talent, but if she doesn't paint on those hives, she won't do it. So this has been a good opportunity for her. So um, there you go. Phil says no echo now. So um, there was two people that worked at the conference. I want to highlight them tonight, and one of them is the Tar Heel beekeeper. He was in the back with us, and Randy, we do appreciate you. You are you came in and needed some really good workers at the conference, and you was one of those people, and we appreciate you. And yeah, there's a picture of you, and we appreciate that. You kind of helping us out. You come over our booth, said, "Can we give you a hand?" So we do appreciate you guys. And then the other person was Steve, and Steve's been talking about trying to get a hive, but he come over and give us a lot of help, and he was a lot, again, a lot of pleasure to be around. So hey, Charlie, how you doing tonight, brother? And there's a picture of Steve. And we see these people on our channels, but to finally get to meet in person, I didn't know Steve was that tall. He's about as tall as Randy is. He makes me look like a midget. So I look like Cayman standing there right now, to be honest with you. Um, but just a great guy. Him and Randy both, well-spoken people, just so easy to get along with, and I just love that. Really got to spend some time with those guys. So we're going to go ahead and open up the live chat tonight, and if anybody wants to come in and talk about their experience about the expo, you just come on in tonight and tell us what you thought, whether it was good or bad, or the parking was bad, or had to pay to get in, or whatever it might have been. Just come on in and talk, and we'll have a good time tonight. Let's see. I'm going to try to pin this to the top here if I can. Lee, I don't know how to do that right. I'm not a good computer, guys. Anyway, a little bit of my experience at the conference. There we go. We got Tom on tonight. Yeah. We were in the house about 20 minutes away from the conference. There was several people that did that. Dawson Burnell, that's down here in the bottom, he was with us at our house. We got a little hot tub because we got the kids, and I would say that might have been the only downfall of the conference was that we had no place for the kids to play. So we had to rent a house with a hot tub. And so first day of the conference, they told us that we was going to be the last group to get in. We was already late getting there, and Uh, so we technically didn't get in the first day till about 2 o'clock, and we kind of got all the hives put together, and we got up Friday morning, and well, actually, let's talk about Thursday night. I had a really good group of people to come out and be with us. Tommy was there, and Sawmill Charlie was there. Um, so we had a really good group that came out to eat with us, and I appreciate that. Again, we got to socialize with each other and have a good time, and laugh and carry on. And had a big group from Michigan to come down and be with us, and that kind of surprised me. So, um, and then we had on Friday, we finally got everything together and the show opened up. And again, Friday night, Sawmill Charlie, he went out to eat with us there. And again, we all went out to eat and had a really good time and carried on with each other. And,
Yeah, I like to eat.
yeah, I mean, it can't beat eating, right? So, and again,
Now, yeah, Ricky, go up on your on the link. Go to the right side of that and see the three little dots. Click on
right.
the dots.
I tried that just a second ago, and it's not letting me do
Sometimes
it.
they don't. It doesn't want to let you do that. It's supposed to have three little dots, and then it says pin it.
Yeah, it's got put user in timeout and ban, and I can't get it to come up tonight. I don't
You'll
know.
have to do that on the YouTube page instead of StreamYard.
Oh, okay. Let me do that. And you got Charlie. Tell us about your experience, man. Why I try to fix this.
Um, well, the trade show is bigger and better.
Right,
I found that the two out of the three speaker halls were very nice. They did not have that echo effect, especially the two ones side by side together. There was the third one, which was kind of um, it was kind of like a auditorium, or like a basketball auditorium, where it kind of echoed with the sound system a little bit. Was a little hard for me to understand the speaker sometimes. Um, and like you were saying, for me, I've started this journey of being a YouTube content creator 2 years ago, and let's see, New Year's Eve of this past year, I started my live chat on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And because of all that, this year I started getting a lot of recognition. It started when I parked my car. I was opening it up, getting my camera stuff ready, and the guy sitting in the pickup truck next door rolled his window down and says, "Hey, I wanted to come and meet you and try to find you at the expo center there, and here you are parking right beside me."
right.
And then I was doing some intro video work outside of the building before they let everybody in, and I would say there was at least 1,000, maybe 2,000 people in that line waiting to get in. And then everybody was, not everybody, but a good amount of people were, uh, either waving or hollering at Sawmill Charlie or Sawmill, and I'd greet them, and they would tell what state they were from. And I had several folks from Canada come up to me. And and one of the things that I asked a lot of the folks when they did that was, like my live chat and my videos, did you get something out of it?
Right.
Was the live chat where we have talk about, maybe some, I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about, I'll say, in the wintertime, but during the summertime, there's tips and tricks and how to do this and how to do that. How can I can fix your problem type of thing. And they all had good, positive feedback. And like you say, getting to meet, putting the face with a real person and the
Yeah.
name from the chat bar off to the right, not really seeing everybody. I like Tom there. I mean, we've seen each other many a time every week on video. So most of the time you will recognize that person right away. When you finally get to the expo, and which happened. And and then getting, like you say, Wednesday night, we all got together. It was what, about 30 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think a lot of folks, they were all surprised to see everybody. Oh
Yeah.
man, here's this person, here's that person. And it's great, to sit around, talk, and have some good food. And then every night after that, usually because it was the location of the Cracker Barrel, um, we had one night was Lee and his wife and me and 33 Mile Bees. And then the next night was 20 of us with Ricky and all his friends and everybody. And
Wow.
then the last night of the conference, we had 6 of us, um, where even well, we actually had 5 at the round table.
Yep.
And then here's William from out in Oklahoma. And I
Yep.
said, come on over here and sit down with us. He's another friend from the live chat. And I had one member from my personal club back here at Maryland. And with this, actually two members. One was another Brian that is a local. Well, he's moved up about an hour away from me. He's trying to become a commercial beekeeper. He's got about 100 hives.
Right.
And then there was Brian from Flower Street with us.
Yep.
And let's see, like you say, Williams from Oklahoma, um, RTX Honeybees, Philip from
Yep. Philip was there. Yep.
Texas was there. I don't know. There was several others that I can't remember right now. But we all had a great fellowship. And we all were eating. We all
Yep.
talked bees, and we all just had a great time. And the speakers were wonderful. And personally, for me, I got to meet like Seth Hill that works with Bob Benny. He's either the cameraman or he's on camera with Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got to meet Ashby Miller, who are Ashby Farms out of North Carolina. And I was surprised. They came up to me and they knew a lot about me. I mean, I knew about them, but I feel like they're more, Ashby's got 500-600 hives.
Mm-hmm.
Seth's got probably 100 or more hives. And, they're on the commercial level, but they seem to be viewing my channel, which was sort of surprising. But we traded contact information and started a good friendship.
Yeah.
Actually, we kind of felt like we already knew each other, type of a friendship started. So that was quite intriguing. And the only thing that I'm waiting for is the recorded videos of the speakers, because the last night, somebody at that table of 6 told me that they were in one of the speaker rooms, and one of the prominent speakers mentioned me in their presentation. Of course, the first thing that I asked was, I hope it was positive, and that the person did, he said that it was a positive comment. I presume about one of my videos or what I've been doing or something of that nature. And I'm guessing maybe it might have been Cameron Jack. I don't know, maybe about oxalic acid or mite treatments or something of that nature. And where I've made a video talking about that and talking about where I participated in the National Honeybee Survey and my results were better than average, that kind of thing. So that it was the big, like you say, the big thing was getting together with all my friends, single brood chamber management. And there's Phil. And it was sort of a very big encouragement, that, maybe I am, I kind of feel like if it's true about this one, prominent speaker, whoever that may be, that actually, mentioned me positively. And I'm like, okay, finally, that's kind of a confirmation that what I'm contributing to the community of beekeepers, let's say in information, is that I'm, it's a positive outcome for what I've been trying to do to help everybody out. What I know, and I'm the legend, Brian. Well, I don't know about that. I do know that Brian from Castle Hives, he was the one who helped me get started in the
Right.
video aspect of it. I tapped his shoulder 2 years ago and said, "What do I need to do? What kind of equipment do I need?" And I called him up on a couple times on, how you do this, how you do that type of thing. And he made mention to me, this past conference that, he says, yeah, he says, you tapped me on my shoulder 2 years ago and now you're famous. And I'm like, I said, I don't know about that, but I am recognized by a lot of folks, I believe because of the live stream more so than the videos. But I don't know, maybe.
I think the live streams really help out. I mean, it really, again, it brings people together, and just like Hallelujah Farms right there. I didn't know who they were, and they sent me a message and wanted to come and eat with us, and those people are, that uplifts us and makes us feel good about ourselves. I mean, and we're really nobody. We're just like them. We're no better than anybody else. But just it's a humbling experience.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Charlie feels the same way. I appreciate it. It makes you feel good inside. Like you said, you're accomplishing something. As me putting the videos out, does that really make a difference? Is anybody even watching what I'm doing? And I think coming together as a group and really helping each other out and supporting each other is so important. And Charlie, I know when we first met, and I'm like, well, what kind of wood do I use for this? And what do you think about this wood? So, it's the little things that add up and makes you a better beekeeper or a better person. So, and I'm sure you feel that same way, Charlie.
It does. And like I was talking about where I met like Seth and Ashby and a lot of other beekeepers that maybe we kind of view them as better beekeepers or more professional beekeepers, maybe more knowledge or whatever. But really, when it really boils down to it, is that they're no different than us. They're just
No,
out there trying to make a living at it, or they're trying to keep their bees alive from one season through the winter to the next season. And either, as a sideliner or a commercial guy. And that's pretty much it. We're all trying to do the same thing, keep our bees alive through the
that's
winter
right.
and be successful with them. And, success is in keeping them alive, success in the fact that maybe we're going to be able to make nukes and sell for the, to other new keepers, uh, and also sell our honey product that we make. And so we can hopefully get to the point where we have our bees support our hobby. And that's, I think, being self-sustainable. I mean, that's the one thing that I found, the key to that is self-sustainability, is the fact that if you can learn to raise your own queens. Now it can be letting the bees, manipulating the, let's say, a frame of eggs into a frame where of a hive where it doesn't have any hives, or learning how to graft, or learning how to harvest voluntary queen cells, where you manipulated the bees to get them to make those swarm cells, uh, and then you can take them and cut them and make your own splits, and then you don't have to buy any bees.
Right.
And that is, I found that one aspect of beekeeping. When you learn that, you don't have to buy bees anymore, and unless you have a catastrophic, die off or something of that nature. And so, I mean, that's uh, that's the kind of things that what do we got? Lemon cream.
This is from Russ Copeland. Now, I lost my voice, guys, and this lemon cream, and here, I'll open it up and let you look at inside of it. I absolutely eat the snot. That's when I lost my voice. That's from Russ Copeland. That was extremely good. And then I also, it works. This from Pruitt Farms, fire cider. That stuff burned me up. I took 3 doses of it, and it lit me on fire. But it did bring my voice back. I couldn't hardly talk the first day, but then the second day, I started getting my voice back. But those 2 things really helped out a lot.
Yeah, you were losing your voice. And then that was on something that I actually did too. I talked so much to everybody around that conference that I was always sucking on a Hall's cough drop to try to keep my throat moist and keep it going and everything. Because I thought maybe I was getting another sore throat because I had that a week or 2 prior to that. But it was just the fact in the morning you felt fine. You could talk fine, but it was just because you talked so much to see everybody.
He was talking to everybody every 5 seconds. It seemed like he was somebody else he was carrying a conversation on with. So, hey, Dave Lewis, how you doing tonight? You're on with us. I think you got there you go.
There I go. Yeah. I'm just enjoying being here live with you guys. I've had you with the horizontal bees. I've been in beekeeping now for 5 years, and my first year I built one long hive and managed to get half a hive through the winter, my first winter. So I've just been sitting back and enjoying this past weekend, sitting at home and watching anything and everything on the Nobby that was available. And I just wish I could have been there, but unfortunately I can't leave the state right now. So anyhow.
Well, I tell you what, Dave, we'd love to have you. And you sit in the background a lot of times and talk to me several times in the background on these live chats and everything. And you're always a pleasure to talk to. And I appreciate you being on tonight. And feel free to comment or anything you want to say. You're more than welcome to do so.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch over here.
I mean, I've got 15 hives right now, 14, 15, somewhere in there, and 6 of them are long hives. So, wow. And I still have four more to build. So I'll be here for a while.
You've got more horizontal hives than I do. I need to start calling you for some advice. I think maybe we need to get together a little bit more with that many hives. I don't think we've got but 8 horizontal hives running right now. So you are definitely
I've got 6 running and 4 in the planning works. So right. I've got to get my shop cleaned up so I can get building this winter.
Right. Tom, how was your experience at the Nobby, man?
Really enjoyed it.
Right.
I slowed down a little bit more from last year. Spent more time talking to you and all the great people, meeting new people that knew me more than I knew them. Spent way too much money. Half of it went to John at Hilco.
He got most of my money last year. I'm right there with you, Tom.
Yeah. And the best part about it, being in Louisville, I got to meet my 3 cousins on Friday night.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I missed the party Friday night because I taking care of family. Mm. So, yeah, I bought one of those automatic dispensers from John.
That was a really good deal. I think how much was that? $600 and some dollars? Is that right?
Yeah, $649.
Yeah, that was a really good deal. I really wanted one bad, and my wife had already smacked my hand because I went down to 2 Rivers and bought a breeder queen. Not that I needed it, but I wanted it, right? And so I went down there and bought one.
Right.
She told me I couldn't go buy that jar dispenser, basically. So, But go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, my friend that lives on the east side of town has that exact same model that he bought some years ago, and he bottles I don't know how many pounds, 5,000 pounds, 6,000 pounds of honey through it. So if he can handle it, I can. I mean, my 1 to 2,000 pound will be no problem.
Right.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm looking forward to next year already. And I got to spend a little bit of time talking to Bob Beanie, Seth, and Dr. David Peck a little bit. So that was really good.
So do you know, I thought I was kind of worried when I went. I thought, the excitement of hive life for those few years, I thought, it might not be there this year. That really good bond and connection might not be there this year. But I feel like, and you and Charlie chime in, but I felt like it was just as good as any other year. It felt great having everybody around.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, another thing that happened is Icy Mountain Honey, which is Sandy. She lives in Garrett County, Maryland,
Mm,
and that's on my way out and back to Nobby. And so we stopped in, and I said hey to her, and took some pictures and all. And only thing is, it's kind of snowed while I was there. Of course, they're right next to the Wisp Ski Lodge, and the roads were covered with snow that night coming home Sunday night. And but I did make it back to Interstate 68, which was one lane, and we went to the next major town where there was a hotel there that we had booked, and spent the night until the roads were safer to travel on the next following day. But we had a good time, even though with the snow and all. So I mean, and that, like I say, here we are. I stopped by because she's on the way and because she's in the chat, and here's the community just getting bigger and bigger,
bigger and bigger.
good friendship and everything and all that. So, but now it's, I don't know, all in all, this is my third um, Cayman conference, I'll call it. And I missed the original first one at Tennessee. Of course, COVID was running at that time.
Right.
And if it wasn't for that, I would have been to all four of them. And I can't wait till next year to go again. I was a little bit hesitant this time going out to Louisville, but now I kind of know the lay of the land, where I want to stay. I went out the Northern Pass route, out through Ohio and then down through Cincinnati. And then I went home through Kentucky into West Virginia through the mountain route that way. And it was either way. I mean, it was nicer with having flat ground through Ohio and all, but then you got to deal with the cities of Cincinnati and Columbus to get through them. The other way, you just have to deal with the mountain and twisty roads in West Virginia, which are not that bad. They're all interstate. So, but
Next year, all the people cutting through Cincinnati needs to stop by my place. Maybe we'll get a little dinner or lunch together, depending on what time it is.
yeah.
That'd be pretty cool to do something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You live in
arrange that.
Tom lives you're living on what sort of the west side of Cincinnati, is it?
Yeah, if you take the 275 loop around, I'm only like 3 miles from the loop on the west side.
Okay. Yeah, the 275
Sometimes
is
it's
is kind of like the bypass around Cincinnati, I guess. What was that?
yeah, a lot of times you don't want to go straight through Cincinnati, depending on what time of day it is.
Yeah, if anybody don't know, Jeremy worked like side by side by Cayman, and was kind of like his right hand man, and so he had it a little rougher than some of the rest of us, but they must have really done a good job because, and you guys can comment on this too. It really looked to me like, and I talked to Cayman yesterday, that he was more relaxed this time, and it just seemed to flow a little bit better, and you could see him smiling and cutting up with people, and he really did enjoy this conference, and I'm glad he did. And when you surround yourself around a good group like Jeremy there, and Randy and Steve, and you get those people helping you. I'm sure that really helps out a lot too. So
Yeah, and that was something I noticed that I didn't see Cayman that much. Like the first day at Hart, I didn't see him at all the first day,
right.
and then I did finally see him doing a couple interviews here and there occasionally, and but it's like you said, when Cayman started all this, um, he was uh, he was a trash man. He was emptying trash.
Yo.
He was the announcer. Uh, he was the one. I guess it was last January. He was out there at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, opening the doors up to let the people in to the place because they couldn't get the main doors open. There were so many people trying to get in.
Mhm.
And then, he was the jack of all trades trying to do it all. And then the second, I guess it was last year also, he talked so much. I think
Yep.
he was like you. He completely lost his voice, totally lost his voice. And then this year, I think, it's like any type of job that you take on, you have to, it's a learning curve, just like, beekeeping. And I think he learned this year that, he had to get some staffing. This is a bigger place.
Yep.
Security wise was, I think, probably provided by the hall rental people
Yep.
themselves.
So, yeah.
And uh and then uh as far as like people taking care of letting people in and getting their lanyards and all these different types of things. He had a team to do all that kind of thing, and they had different team members that would introduce the speakers, like Marvin Spivak or anybody who was getting up on a stage in a classroom setting. So he didn't really have to do all that kind of thing, and all that. So he had a team where he could back off a little bit and enjoy himself, instead of being like a chicken with his head cut off,
Yep.
running around trying to get everything done. And then, of course, like he had learned after the second, I guess it was the second show or conference that he had put on about like, hiring a videography company to come in and that kind of a thing. And, like I say, the sound system in all the rooms were very good. It's clear to be able to hear the speaker and all that kind of stuff. And those rooms. Do you know actually how many people they were able to hold per room?
I don't know. Jeremy might know. Tom, do you know? Lee, anybody?
I don't know. I
I don't
figured
know.
there was at least 800 people in each of one of those rooms in most sessions that I attended, if not more.
Yeah,
And some of them,
standing room
there
only.
was some seats that were open because you would take a chore to get in the middle of the row if that seat was open. But then there was a lot of it was completely full of the seats, and then there was sort of like standing room only type of thing on the outer edges. Some people just chose to do that, I'm sure. I think there was enough seating for everybody, but that was, classrooms were well attended and with I'd say 500 to 800 people in each classroom that I saw. And all in all, the venue was good. I think the new venue was much better than the old one, a little more friendlier. Um, a little more open space. I mean, we were never crowded in the other one, but I think the uh, vendors hall, the walking area, the corridor between the booths were much wider
That place is massive.
and all that, and all that kind of stuff. Now, something that I just saw a picture of where there was a picture of a lot of people, I guess when they had the 2-hour lunch break, in where they had the dining area, where the vendors were for the food and all. Where most of the time when I went in there, it was completely empty all the time.
Yeah, I tell you what, I really thought maybe they could have pushed that, made that a little smaller, and maybe expanded the vendor booths just a little bit. But
Yeah.
it,
The
it
only
wasn't.
thing I did
It,
see was they had one vendor there that was out of place, which they were trying to sell windows for your house,
now,
and
now
that
we looked that up on the paper and we could not find him. Did anybody else do that? I don't. Did they
I,
sneak
I
in? I mean, does anybody know
I
what
don't
happened there?
know. I was wondering whether they slipped by the scanning filter. I'll say that if you weren't bee related, you ain't coming.
I mean, if someone to pay for a booth, that's fine. But I mean, their name wasn't even on the little chart at all, so I didn't know what
Yeah.
happened there.
And like Phil
I
said,
have no idea
I
either,
seen
Ricky. I
that.
didn't
I
see
seen a
it.
picture of the food area being full at lunchtime. Well, at lunchtime, normally I was either talking to somebody or filming, or I went out to my car and I brought my own little snacks that I can eat and
Oh,
stuff.
you weren't paying those criminal prices to eat.
That's the only thing that
Well,
my biggest, that would probably be the only complaint that I would have about this conference. Number one was the price of the food. Now you got to remember that those vendors are probably paying the hall rental for them
yep.
to be there, and then they're trying to make some money, and then uh, I looked at the food selection, and it's like. Uh, Other than the one in the back where it was close to where you were set up at, they had hot dogs, and I don't know what, I don't think they even had any hamburgers or something like
No,
that.
it was just hot dogs.
Just hot dogs. That would be the only thing I could possibly eat. And
Yeah, the parking cost wasn't good either. So,
well, it was $12, but I really didn't
Yeah.
have too much of a problem paying that. I mean, it would have been nice if it was free.
well,
Uh,
the only thing that hurt was if you wanted to go out and eat, and then you were coming back, you had to pay again, right?
right. No, unless you bought a In and Out pass, which was $15.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You had three ways of doing it. You paid by the day at $12, where you came in, you stayed all day, and then you went home. $15 a day, and you can go in and out. Or I think it was
43 if you did in
43 or
and out all 3
45.
days.
Was it 45 or 43?
43.
45 says, yeah.
45. I
$43.
think it's 43.
Okay,
Okay.
well, Phil did 40. It was 45. That's what Phil said he paid in and out
Maybe it was.
all 3 days. So, that's the way the venues are. I look at it this way. If they would have had hamburgers and hot dogs, and also they did, one vendor had pizza,
Yeah.
some of the common foods that most places would sell, and then
Except for
price it.
hamburgers.
Well, I like my hamburgers, my cheeseburger, something like that. French fries.
You'd
I
think
mean, I
that'd be
went to the
common.
farm show yesterday, and you had French fries, a setup stand outside the building where they were selling French fries, they were selling burgers or whatever, or let's say chicken tenders, your common stuff that you see at that kind of events. And if they would price it as a sort of a reasonable price, all right, they had vending machines there. A Coke, I think it was a 16-ounce Coke. It was $5. Come on, people.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been 250, maybe three at the most, then for where it was located, okay. But that was the only thing I have complained about, is the pricing on that and the
So,
type of food.
so what do you think about next year? Me and my wife, we always come back and try to guess what the next year's numbers are going to be. What do y'all think? I mean, what's these numbers going to look like next year? Is he going to get close to 5, or is he going to try to stay small? What do y'all think?
4.5 to 5.
Is
Yeah.
it the same date and time?
Well, we don't know yet. It may not be at the same venue. We don't really know, but
Because that changes everything.
Well,
I would say it probably. Go ahead, Tom.
I talked to the guy. I had to go out for to go right around. And I went back in and I talked to the guy there because I was the only truck going back in. And he told me that they typically lease these things out 5 years in a row, 5 year contracts, basically the same time frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure next year will be the first weekend again, which would be the second, third, and fourth. So
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think it was a learning curve for Cayman, like he stated one time when you're going to a new venue. I think there was a learning curve for the venue to say, what's this going to be like? He ain't going to be successful or
sure.
whatever. And then, here you got 3,000 people coming in.
Yeah. You got to learn what they allow, don't allow. Do they allow food vendors? Do you have to use their food vendors? All that kind of stuff.
I don't mind using the food vendors, and I'll pay good money as long as the food's really good. You know what I'm saying? That was the thing. The food was just a little not that great, but if I get a little bit more food, I'd be all about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I was going to tell you, I, th- how much? I mean, does it have other rooms that we didn't even see?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
We
place
were
is
only in
massive.
a third of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, you got to think about a few things of logistics
Or
here.
half.
Number one, you've got a hub airport there. So now he can, like he said, the guy from England, and you had Richard from Brittany, France. They have more of a direct flight. Whereas when it was at Knoxville, they had to have chauffeurs to go over there, grab them at the airport, and bring them over. Now they have shuttle buses. Now that was another thing for the folks listening that didn't go, is the fact that, far as I know, all the hotels that where we all stayed at, they all had shuttle buses that you could ride over there for free, and you didn't have to pay any parking. So there was about, I would say, about half the people went by shuttle, and the other half went by car. Depends on how much. For me, I was like, somebody was asking me, well, are we going to do the shuttle? Do the shuttle? I'm like, wait a minute, I got Aprivar to pick up. I've got pollen patties to pick up, and I wound up buying two or three other products. I guess, yeah, three other products. Nothing major amount, but I would have bought acorn frames if I had a pickup truck with a huge cap on it. But those type of things, it takes so much room that I got a text from one of my guys that I teach, and talking about frames. I said, you need to be a little more organized here. We're going to the conference. You're going to go to a place where they're going to have, deals going here. You need to think about all that ahead of time.
About
Or
300 frames, premier frames. I
yeah,
brought those home.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it was easy loading like at Hive Labs. Yeah, but you had the back door. You just walked out the back. Now they were pretty strict about not going out the front door. And
Cards.
with the
With the
carts. And
carts.
then what was
Yeah.
really nice was Hilco Bee Supply provided all these nice, I'll say what, 3 foot by 3 foot, or 2.5 foot by 3 foot carts, and I
Yeah.
utilized it myself.
Was
Where
that them? Was that them flat ones?
Yeah, flat ones with the
Yeah.
bar
Yeah.
up there. They're brand spanking new. They had, I don't know how many of them. They were all out, and people were loading them up. Stuff was going out the back door and all.
I used one, but it had Hilco stuff on it. So
Well, I used Hilco stuff, and it didn't have anything of theirs on it. It didn't matter. Anybody could use it for the whole thing.
right.
People were definitely doing it.
Yeah, that was great advertisement for them.
Yeah, and they had a very nice booth. Bob Benny had a nice booth.
Yeah.
Um, and then, um, oh, I don't know. everybody. There's all kinds of, boo. I kind of found it odd that there were people selling honey at the conference, but there's a lot of folks. They had a lot of cream type honeys with a lot of flavors and stuff and that kind of thing, and it worked out well. And
Yeah.
uh,
So who would you guys like to hear next year? I mean, I'd like to see Ian come back and be with us again, but who else would you guys like to see? Who, in the comments, let us know what you guys think.
yeah, I
I
think
know some of
Ian.
my friends that I'd like to see come and be with us, and I kind of thought about maybe us all pulling together some money and snag one of these guys from Australia or over in England and get them over here to be with us. That would be really kind of cool. So keep that in your mind,
Yeah, that
and
would
we
be.
might do something like that. Yeah, Michael Palmer would be cool.
Yeah, I've met
Yeah.
him once or twice. Um, yeah, Mike's good. Hmm. I don't know. I don't. I mean, I've seen a lot of these folks over the years. There's had been some small conferences in my area.
Yeah,
And
that'd be interesting. Humberto. I don't know what he would talk about down there.
well, who was the guy that hive? What's it called? Hive, and there was one guy there that has a show. It's on. He does a lot of interview work. I think was that Herberto or not?
He's
Yeah.
inside the hive, isn't
More
I
commercial
haven't heard
guys.
that.
Yeah. Um,
So Brian, I
I
see
would
you.
like to. There was. I know that Brian from Flower Street. He's down at the ABF, and he posted. What was the guy that the first posting you did, Brian? Something about. Oh, I know what it was. It was about Amatraz. Yep, there's the honey. Uh, Amatraz and whether or not are the bees getting non there? Yep. I gave out somewhere's around 25 or 30 pounds to all my uh, folks that come on my chat and that I met, and some other folks that I just made acquaintance that were uh, good contacts for me and things like that. And like Jimmy's Neighborhoods Bees there, I met him for the first time, and we hanged out there for a while. Me and him, and I forget who else was there, hanging out with him, talking bees, and um, also he is also into restoring Mini Coopers. And then there's Sandy there. She's up in, like I say, in Garrett County, Maryland. Stopped by, gave her a bottle of honey and stuff, and she also reciprocated and gave me honey. And that's another thing that a lot of folks down there at the conference that we were instead of I wasn't much on the Tennessee uh, high bee or honey exchange. I just wanted to give my honey to certain people and all that kind of stuff that that
Right.
were on my chat and stuff like that.
Yeah. One thing I learned about the honey swapping and all that, I think next year I'm going to go with the 4 ounce bottles versus the 8 ounce, just so I get more variety.
Yeah.
Maybe like 50 or 64 ounce bottles versus 38 ounce bottles because they swapped them out pretty much what you gave size wise.
Yeah, Brian, we
I
could get you on
nominated
there as a speaker, no doubt.
Sawmill Charlie as a speaker.
Yeah, let's get Charlie out there as a speaker.
Well, yeah.
Single brood management.
Yeah.
Well, uh, I'm gonna do some different things here. I think this comes. I'm definitely gonna do some management on how to get into my highs. Last year, I kind of got caught off guard. Um, where and Darren, I seen Darren there, and everybody's been on the chat. I tried to give him a bottle of honey if I had it with me. Um,
Yeah, it was good seeing Jimmy there.
Yeah,
And
Jimmy's down around the Richmond, Virginia area, and a good backyard beekeeper, really funny guy, and really nice fellow. And what I got lost my train of thought here. Oh, um, last fall I tried Apis Biologic for the first time
There it is. I knew
in
you was
my
going to talk
feed.
about it.
And when them bees came out in the springtime, I was totally caught off guard for the amount of bees in that on all of my hives, the amount of brood that's in there. Late March is when I got into them, and I think they're also going to limit the amount of bottles you can put into that swap too. And anyway, I've got it planned out in my head on how I'm going to go into my hives right from the get go, because I'm expecting the huge amount of bees that are inside that hive. How I'm going to have to manage it to where I keep them out of the air as much as possible and keep them from dripping out on the ground, which I don't like my bees to do, and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to make some really good videos about that. Why, what I'm doing and all this kind of stuff. So it'll help everybody out when it comes to the single brood thing. I like it because it doubles my honey production. It is work, and there's a lot of work to it. But another thing is that I don't have any swarming at all, because you're managing that brood box and the giving that queen all the room she needs to lay continuously. And I think my 2024 beekeeping goal is to have 100 pounds of honey per hive in my honey production. I did 12 hives this year, and I harvested like 1,000 pounds, and it averaged out to 80 pounds per hive. And in Maryland, 50 pounds is the average. So I'm 30 pounds higher than what the state average is.
Yeah, Charlie, I've never been a big fan of single brood management, to be honest with you. And this year, I broke down and said, I'm going to try it. I don't think it'll work. It's not going to work in my area. I'm not going to get any honey. That queen excluder don't allow the bees to go through it. It just
you're talking about now. You're calling it a honey excluder, huh?
Yeah. So I tried that this year. I'm going to be brutally honest. I got more honey out of the hives I went single brood management with than any other hive. More than the horizontals, more than anything else. I don't know why it worked so well with that bottom brood.
I can explain that
out so well.
Yeah, I can explain that to you.
He could be the speaker.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I do have a video. It's called "The Mechanics of the Single Brood Chamber." All right, I'm running all mediums. So winter configuration is 3 mediums, which is like having 2 deeps.
Yep.
So the top medium is it's been filled naturally by the bees because I have a spider liner fly. A lot of you folks don't have that around here because it's an invasive species, but it puts out honey. But this is something that I think a lot of newer beekeepers would make this mistake. Is that when you go in there in September and you lift up that top super and it's like 50, 60 pounds, I'm like, oh, I got plenty of honey to get through the winter. Well, guess what? You don't. It's that super is full of honey from 10 frames wide for the most part. You might have a little bit of open stuff. And 40 hog half combs.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. And now see, that's me and Sandy need to talk about them hog half cones or try to, I think you have to be more dedicated with, when it comes to combed honey and stuff like that. But anyway, back to my talk.
Back to speech.
Back to my speech about it is that I put the top high feeders on And those hives, even though they had honey on 60 pounds of honey, let's say on top of that one super, they took another additional 6 to 8 gallons of sugar water, 2 to 1, to fill them up to the point where they would not take anymore. Now I don't have to worry about them hives, running out of food as far as I'm concerned. I'll check them, but pretty much I'm 95% confident that they're going to have plenty of food. They did last year. They're going to have them this year. Now, getting back to the single brood thing. Okay, you can either have one deep, and this is, I'll say, as far as management goes. If you look at Ian Stepler, you look at any commercial guy, what does he do? He has one size box, one size frame, and he uses deep boxes for his brood chamber and deep boxes for his honey supers and deep frames. So everything is universal. That's where a lot of people say, well, you use mediums, so there's an extra 10 frames. I said, that's right. But I have one size box and I have one size frame. So what I do is I take that, I put those bees down in 2 mediums. And hey, Terry, and then I try to take at least half of the cap brood out and replace it with open combed honey or wax frames, and then put the queen excluder on, put your 2 honey supers on, and then what I've done is I've taken those cap brood frames out. I'll say they're 98% capped. There might be a few cells. You're going to check them later. Put them in that top box that you took off. If you're not filled completely with brood like that, I put in foundation. I don't want to put in drawn wax because I don't want them to fill it up with honey. I keep my brood wax separate from my honey wax. And so I put that on top of the stack. Well, that creates 2 things. It creates a bait box that brings those bees up through the queen excluder and into that upper area to cover those bees up. And it also helps, start them to start storing honey. And with that said, all right, you got your single brood chamber down there, whether it be 2 mediums or 1 deep. Now the queen is laying all that comb up with eggs. And she does that, they cannot store any honey down there. Now, they might have storage of honey and pollen on the outer edges just for like a little pantry where they can go over there and grab it and feed the eggs. So now the main thing about beekeeping is figuring out how to manipulate your bees to get them to do what you want them to do. So now they can't put anything in the bottom box. So they force them to put everything upstairs. And that's how you get them to make more honey, because it's upstairs where you can harvest it. And then a lot of folks say, well, they have, let's say there's 2 deeps, and I've ran that for years. And I said, let me describe you what happens. I says, the bottom box is full of brood for the most part. Maybe the outer edges will be honey and some pollen. And then they will chimney straight up in the 6 frames in the middle on average, 5 to 6 frames right straight up. And they'll lay all that up with brood. And then as they're bringing honey in through the honey season, you got a honey super on top, let's say. Well, they're not putting any honey up in the upstairs, but what's making you mad is they're putting it on the outer frames of that top brood chamber box. Let's say it's a deep. And as soon as the 6 frames in the middle on the top hatch out, well, guess what they're doing? They're backfilling it with nectar.
Yep.
And then that's making you even more mad. It's like, why aren't you putting this honey up here where I provided you the box? And they're like, I don't need that space because I got all this space right above the brood chamber. Now, I've been to some meetings where they brought in some commercial guys for a speaker for the night of a local club meeting. And I remember this, I don't know what club I was at, but anyway, the commercial guy made a comment. He says, well, we don't like giving our bees that much room. That's why we don't keep them in 1 deep box. Did he expand on that and tell you why? No, but that's why. So that's why the single brood chamber, you taking all that honey out of that top brood box and it's going up in your honey supers so you can harvest it. And then there's the thing called a demery. George Demery invented it back in
I just don't
1866.
like it.
And he was trying to get bees to not swarm. So he was pulling the brood out of the bottom, putting the honey supers on, and then putting the brood at the top of the box. And he's cycling the top as they get empty down to the bottom and back, and just constantly cycling through. And he was successful in reducing or actually stopping the swarming. And when you do that, the brood upstairs is hatching. You're making this massive amount of forager bees in your hive, which the more foragers you have, the more honey that's coming in. So there you're increasing your honey crop that way.
So Charlie, let me ask you a question here now. I've got Amber here with me, and she really does some really good contracts. So can I just go ahead and get you on the contract for some kind of speech, or can I be your rep or something like that? So you really got that down, man. I tell you what, and I like it because you're right. Everything you're saying is dead on right. I mean, I can't believe how well
the main thing I find, and this is maybe this is some of the things that I do in my videos, is the fact that I get very aggravated at a lot of video creators that, they talk about what they're trying to do, but they don't explain it in great detail. And if you do a technique and you miss a minute detail, the next person that tries to duplicate what you've done, they will be unsuccessful. And then they're going to say, well, your thing doesn't really work because I tried it. And that is why I try to be really detailed about this kind of stuff, because you have to do everything in every step, every detail in order to make it successful or to make it work. The one thing that I haven't mentioned is the brood upstairs. Go back 3 days later, shake the bees off of those brood frames that you put up there that were 95% or more capped. Check for queen cells, because those brood frames are far enough away from where the pheromones from that queen is they think they're queenless up there, and they will start making swarm cells, or not swarm, but actually I guess you would call it emergency queen cells. Well, you got an advantage there. You can do a couple of things. You can take and either scrape them cells off and kill them, or you can harvest. You can take that whole frame off, and let's say they only have 1 or 2 cells on it, and you can put that in a nuke box with nurse bees and other brood, and they'll make their own queen. And guess what? You just made yourself a nuke, and it didn't cost you anything. There's your sustainability. That's one way of making queens for yourself. Let the bees do the choosing and let them do most of the work. You just got to make sure they're there before any of those queens hatch. Or you can scrape them off and then let those bees hatch out in the top of that hive, and then cycle those frames back down to the bottom and bring more cap brood up to the top. Or another thing is, now you've made that honey production hive into a resource hive, because if you have a honey production hive or a nuke down the row that needs some bees, then yeah. Down the row, let's say you got a nuke box that needs some bee and you need to boost them so you can get them up to bee power, get the bee power up and running on that. All you got to do is pull that frame out with the bees on it and walk it down the row and stick it into that nuke box. And those bees will not fight with the other bees because they're nurse bees. And you know where your queen's at. She's down in the bottom. So you don't have to waste any time to find the queen because you know where she's already at. So you're getting multiple uses out of this system. The downside of it is you got to tear that system down. You got to take off the honey boxes in that top brood box about every 2 weeks or so. While you got, your worker bees are going to hatch in 21 days, which is 3 weeks. So you need to be in there about every 2 weeks and pull that brood up out of there and cycle the empties down, and then you won't have any swarming problems. So,
Ricky and Charlie, I run 12 production hives that are only 6 frame single brood management. And I put
okay.
all three of them together, 3 6 frames. I put 2 queen excluders on top, and I put 2 deeps on top.
That's
And then
basically what
what that
Ian
gives
and
me
Brad
is
does.
basically what that gives me is 8 to 9 frames of brood per honey box. So I really get production of honey. The only caveat is that queen better be a brand new queen, less than it hasn't gone through a honey flow yet, or there will swarm. But a brand new queen won't swarm on you.
Yeah.
Works pretty good. But it's the same thing. I let them fill up all 6 frames of brood. And when she's filling up laying the last frame, the first frame's emptying. And she just goes back and forth in the box.
I was just talking to Jeremy there about this
Works
little
pretty
colony
good.
over my head. I don't know why it's so small. It's about the size of a baseball. You might be able to see them right there in the cones, and they're still making it. So there's got to be a queen there, I think. But
So
I've
there's
never
bees
seen
in
it.
that box up there. I
Yeah,
thought
here's.
I thought that was just for looks.
It's actually got.
It might be.
Yeah, you can see the bees.
Yeah, I see them. They're moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're up there, but there's just not a lot. I don't know. So.
Might be the genetics.
What'd you say, Spanky?
Might be the genetics.
It could be the genetics.
Yeah,
They
I know.
definitely
Not
got
the
the
best
gardening in them.
queen.
Yeah, Lindsay, I agree with you. I probably will requeen them if they don't swarm out on me.
They might requeen themselves.
Yeah, that queen's
You never know.
a couple years old already. So when I threw that one in there,
Um, there was one guy that was speak to me there at the show, and I think he was the guy that was ahead of that new box company that um, Greg Burns is promoting, um, whatever it's called. It was at the
Purple.
front there.
Talking about Propola or the Enduro hive.
Yeah, Propola, whatever it's called, yeah, and all that, and yeah, I forget. Premier B. That's the one I'm thinking of.
That'd be the Propola.
He was a young or a tall, skinny guy. I don't know. I guess he was the head of it. He seemed to know me. I just was very nice and said, "Hi, how you doing?" And he was always chatting with me occasionally and all, but was like, wasn't sure just who. I didn't make the connection at the time. So,
That Propola hive technique, that is not a new technique.
no.
That's been around for over 100 years.
I don't know about 100 years, but I know that Marva Spivak talked about that 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, there was a company back in the 70s, 50s that were making that type of hide for that same reason. So it's really not new. It's just renew.
Right. Well, it's like everything in a lot of our things that we do is that old technology becomes new again,
Right.
and a lot of it is because that the people who use the technology have passed away, and it has that information has kind of died with them. I mean, look at beekeeping. Beekeeping is in the last 10 years is on a huge surge up in popularity, and especially after after the pandemic and stuff like that. And and my grandparents on my mother's side, they had bees. That was just something that you had on the farm. And
Right.
today, that art kind of went away. I was at a meeting and they were looking at a timeline, and they said, well, when 1940 something, 40 after 1945, the beekeeping keepers, as far as that was, it was on a downward climb. And I'm like, well, yeah. Remember what happened at that point in time? You know, everybody was in the war at World War II.
Right.
And if you listen to most of the older folks who are veterans or were veterans from that era, or even some of the newer veterans from, let's say, from mm, uh, Korean War or something like that. Well, they got off the farm, they went to the army, they came back, and they came back to, let's say, Baltimore or New York, and they went from not exposed to all this technology or whatever. The only thing they had was the farm, and they were in some little community that was kind of like isolated. And now they've come out and they got educated about, let's say television at the time, and phones at the time, and all this technology. And they're like, well, I'm not going back to the farm. I can go get a job over here at GM and make 4 times as much money and have a house and, the whole 9 yards. Of course, they probably met their wife about in the meantime, and that's where they stayed, and that was the end of the farm, and that kind of stuff. And that was the end of their beekeeping. They said, the heck with that. I'm not fooling with that stuff anymore. And now here's a resurgence of beekeeping in the last 10 years. And it's like, we're all new at it. And it's like, here's this,
Right.
there's no passing. Yeah. There's no passing of the, uh,
Information.
the
Yeah.
information from one generation to the next. Or let's face it, if you're 8 years old and you're out there with granddad or with your father, and you're in the little bee suit, and you grow up with this stuff, by the time you're 20 some years old, you're a seasoned beekeeper because you've experienced all this kind of thing. And that was one of the things. One of the speakers was Megan Milbreath. I had seen her several years back here up in Pennsylvania at a 1 day conference, and it was about transitioning from, I'll say, a sideliner to a commercial beekeeper, or just to a commercial beekeeper. And she does, as she's out in the Midwest, she does do commercial work. She was doing nukes, and she was doing honey hives and all that. And then she also went to college, and I think she has a PhD now and everything. So I was listening to her and her presentation, and she kept talking and stuff. And I'm like, within about 5 minutes, I'm like, this girl did not learn this out of a book. I can tell she grew up with it or something. And sure enough, about 3 slides, the next 3 slides, here she is at 10 years old with an aluminum hard hat on that her dad gave her. And then he put the veil over top of that where, it fits on any type of hat. And she's out there working, 50 hives with her father, growing up in the bee yard. And then she just took that information and then went on to college and expanded on it and became I think she's an extension agent and also a professor too. and all that stuff. Plus, she owns her own, commercial bee company, more or less. Yeah, she was doing nukes. I think she kind of cut that out. It got to be too much. But I think that is the difference that we have in this generation in this time is that there's this. I mean, I watch a lot of these homesteaders, and I sit there and kind of chuckle at them. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get a cow and I'm going to get, goats. I don't know why. I don't know what you use goats for, except for mowing the hillsides.
Yeah.
But they're going to get a cow, and they're going to get chickens and all this stuff. And we never really had farm animals. Well, we did have some cattle when I was younger, but we got rid of all that stuff, thank goodness. And we were a dairy farm at one time prior to me being old enough to know. And it's like I told a guy today, I says, that's like putting shackles around your legs, because guess what? You're not going nowhere, because you have to be there 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to milk them cows twice a day.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, they got to be fed, watered,
and everything else. And it's like people come in to me and now, right now, raising chickens and beekeeping are the two hottest hobbies there is. I think a lot of folks like the chickens because they're a little easier to raise.
It's expensive.
You get to feed the wildlife if you don't take care of it right.
Well, they're a little more forgiving, I think the chickens are, except for, you got to remember to get rid of the foxes and the coyotes and
everything
and the coons and all that kind of stuff, because they'll kill 20 of them overnight.
Owls,
Bob's going after you, Charlie, man. He's getting you. Hey, speaking of Bob right there, I got a picture right here I want to show everybody because this is kind of Bob's thing. So let's put that up there.
Yeah, there you go.
No beekeepers life, right?
Yeah, no life beekeepers.
Yeah.
A lot of knowledge there in that group.
Yep. Got Charlie in there.
Yeah, I'm in there. Let's see. In the back, you got Joey, and we have Joey. I don't know the second fellow here. I met him, and then there's Lee, and then there's Paul and his wife, and the lady in red is Grammy. That's Lisa, and I believe next to her that is her daughter. And then you don't really recognize Phil, their RTX honeybees, because you don't have his hat on.
Right.
For some reason.
He's back there.
And then the next fellow there, I believe it's Russell, is it?
Yep, that's Russ Copeland.
Russ Copeland. And then there's I Am. And then there's
Randy.
And then you got Brian from Flower Street over here kneeling. And then there's Tom right there. And then yourself. And then there's 33 Mile Bees Phil. And then there's Sean.
Yeah, and they're from Michigan.
Yeah, they're from Michigan, right?
Yep.
And all that, and so it's a nice crew of people there. But I mean, there's the general idea of why we all go to this conference, because we all get to see each other.
That's right.
Take one picture.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey, that's a compliment.
What's going on?
Hey, Ricky, I just wanted to jump in and give you a little bit of a couple of thoughts we had on the expo.
Sure, absolutely. I appreciate you doing it.
We enjoy going out Wednesday. We come in. We just rolled into Louisville, and I was able to make it over, and we appreciated the invite to go and eat, and it was good to. As I said when I came in, we had the advantage because we knew most everybody there, but y'all didn't know us. That's kind of the way it is when you're on here and you're in the chat. And but I've heard this is our first one. We didn't get to go to Hive Life, and but I've heard from kind of the saying that I hear it's like a family reunion, and and I see why. But me and my wife were talking about it today, and I see that aspect of it, being there. I said, but the neat thing about it was, we'd never met anybody there, but we see everybody on screen. We've seen people in chats, a lot of people in the chat, we never see on screen. We don't know, just like they didn't know what we look like. And but we got there, and it really did feel like a family reunion. Even though we hadn't been to previous conferences, even though we'd never met, pretty much everybody there, and some of them, like I said, we just saw names on the screen on the chats, and got to meet a lot of people there. But it really did have that feeling, of a family reunion, even though it was our very first time. It's one of the I've been to a lot of different kind of settings and conferences, but I'll have to say we talked about how what a peaceful atmosphere it was. It's like everybody had the same thing on their mind. If anybody among the vendors, I noticed if anybody needed help, they wouldn't have any problem getting it. Somebody else was there to pitch in and help, whether they're going to get anything out of it or not. Just such a great atmosphere to be in, and so we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it tremendously. Like I said, it was our first one. Hopefully, it won't be our last one.
Yeah. One thing I've really learned being a beekeeper is everybody in the industry are wholeheartedly down to earth people. Every one of us, it seems that way.
Yep. It's almost like to me, and I don't want to take it too religious, but it's almost like homecoming to me when we go to these things, and you meet people that normally don't, come to church in a homecoming. There's people that come and you eat and you fellowship and everything feels just right, and that's what I get when I go to these conferences with Cayman. It's just the people that come out, like Hallelujah Farm right here. I mean, you don't see them, and they talk a little bit in the chats, but to actually get to meet them in person, get to meet their personality, man, it's incredible. I appreciate you guys saying, "Hey, can we come and eat with y'all?" And I've got a new friend. Your wife was just incredible. Also, you guys are awesome, and it's humbling for you guys to come out and be with us. It really is. Yeah, it's like a big family reunion. So
Yeah,
appreciate that.
my wife made a good observation. We were talking about that, just like I had mentioned. How it felt. We saw how everybody worked together. And being a pastor, I've been in a lot of conferences. I said, this isn't a Christian conference, it's a beekeepers.
Yeah.
I said, but I've seen probably a more, not saying anything about church. I love my church folks, but
yeah.
To go there, didn't hear anything out of the way, didn't hear any bickering, and everybody just got along. And my wife looked at me, she said, well, maybe it's because all the years I've been watching those bees, they've learned how to work together. I thought that's a pretty good observation. That we learned something from the bees. But no, we enjoyed it. Like I said, it was our first one. And to be our first one, I'm gonna tell you, it was a big one to go to. We were pretty overwhelmed going in. We went in on Thursday and just kind of walked the aisles, to see where we wanted to get back to. And we'd pre-ordered. I heard, I think Tom mentioned that he was hauling a load of Hillco stuff on Hillco's cart, but we wound up about 3 of those loading up before we left. Matter of fact, we brought our big Suburban, and I'd taken some of the seats out of it. And before we left, I went to U-Haul and rented a trailer. We wound up filling the trailer up before we came back to South Carolina. But no, we never made it through all the aisles on Thursday. We had to start back on Friday. She said, where you want to start? I said, well, let's hit the aisle and a half that we didn't get yesterday. So
that was the thing with me is I don't think I actually got to every vendor out there. I don't know if everybody else did, but I did not get to every vendor to really see what every product they had out there.
That was one of the things that
Ricky. And it seemed like every time I tried, I ran into somebody, and then we'd start walking and talking, and I go, "Oh, I'm in another row now."
Yep.
But last year I did a lot of videoing, or I was emphasizing that, trying to make a video. And this year I said, and at the end of the show last year, it was like, you know what? I didn't get to, like you say, you didn't go to every vendor table and look at every little thing that they had to sell. And I missed out. I felt like I missed out on. That's where I tried to do more of that this year, as far as not so much video and go to the classes. And I mean, Thursday I was going to go to one of the classes, but I had an inkling that what Bob was talking about, what I'd already seen on a video, which that's what it was. And I went ahead and just hanged out in the trade show area for the first half day. Personally, I would like to see Cayman make it 3 full days.
Well, he's talked about that.
Instead of just a day, 2.5 days, make it 3 days. And all would work.
Just make it a week.
Huh?
Just make it a week.
Make it a week. Well, I mean, it's like I stopped by and seen Sandy and her husband and exchanged some honey and, just to meet and greet her and because she'd been on our live streams like tonight. And, it was like, I don't want to go back home and go to work. It's like, I'm going to get a room and hang out another day. And all it was really nice.
I don't think anybody would have a voice if it lasted a week.
That's right.
Well, you'll just learn to
I
listen
think my
more.
feet and body could handle a week.
Well, I think our voices would all we couldn't talk by the end of the week.
So, Pruitt Homesteads, I got a really cool story where Randy was at. So, my wife got Mr. Ed, guys. Now, this was hilarious. So, y'all may have seen that little pipe sticking out of Yappy's butt right there. So, he was, there we go. He was carrying that thing around in his underwear, basically. And you had Randy and Mr. Ed sitting on the other side, and they had the same pipe sitting there. Well, Mr. Ed got that little clear pipe, and he stuck it up to his mouth. And about that time, my wife scrolled up and showed him this picture, and I lie you not, he about literally puked. And Randy absolutely laughed. He laughed. He had tears in his eyes because Mr. Ed thought Spanky Yappy had that. That was the same pot. Excuse me. That's the same container that was on that table. So that was really funny.
What was that thing for anyway? What is that?
Randy said it was for like when you're sucking the bees out. Since it's clear, you can actually see the amount of suction that you're putting on the bees, which was a really cool idea. Whoever came up with that.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I could go for 3 days for this show. It would be nice.
I know everybody went, with a different agenda. And I've heard, just like I've heard some of them say, Lee went and he didn't carry his camera equipment. Bruce, I think I heard him talking about, he said, I didn't make any videos. I just spent time with people. And, a lot of people went and didn't need anything. Like for us, we were at a place that we're trying to ramp up our operation. So we were looking to make some purchases this coming year. And so for us, we were able to go on and do some pre-orders and go there and do some shopping. And, I hadn't figured up the total before I ever left. I knew we'd already purchased enough to save it. We saved enough on what we purchased to more than pay for our trip, for our travel and our room. So plus we got the experience of being there. So, it was a kind of a win-win for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like myself. I had, I had some pre-order purchases and stuff like that, and I got that out of the way the first day. I wanted to get that stuff, taken care of before I would forget about them. And, a lot of, there wasn't any, I'll say stainless that I needed to buy or anything like that, or boxes, or not that I could haul any of that back with me anyway. But, it was nice to see some of the bigger commercial equipment and all. I don't know whether they were actually cheaper, as far as being a downsized version of it. Looked to me, they were pretty expensive to me compared to, let's say, license type of equipment. Of course, it's overseas, but
so Joey's on here. He might be able to say something about this. I heard there was a tractor trailer load of equipment that come out of Canada that didn't make it to the showroom floor, that stayed in the trailer because the guy couldn't get across the border. Does anybody know about that?
No, I never heard.
No.
So there was more equipment to get on the floor that didn't show up, basically. That, maybe we could have got a better price.
I did see the video. I don't know who shot it, where they had Cowan tractor and trailer. They had a,
Steve said they did unload it, so
Okay. It was the tractor and trailer there that had cow and stuff on it that he had a curtain box where they slid the curtain open. They were picking it off with the forklifts and stuff of that, putting that stuff down on the floor. So, and all that. Now, Phil says that Cowan sold a bunch of stuff. I don't know what they all sold. I hope they did sell a lot of stuff because, it's
yeah,
expensive to bring all that stuff in. I mean, Ricky, you brought 27, 28 hives
yeah,
to the
27
show?
houses what we brought in. Yep, sold them all.
27 hives, and all 27 went out the door.
We had, I think we ended up with 16 orders after that. So we really racked the orders up. And I'm taking orders right now of people that was there at the Hive Life that decide, hey, yeah, we do want a hive from you. So, I'll reap the rewards of this for at least a few more weeks, and that's really nice for me. And it's nice to be able to show what I make there at the Nobby, and the customer really gets to put their hands on it and see what it is. It's different seeing it by a picture, but when you can really put your hands on what you're buying, I think that's really important. We give a fairly good discount, so we don't make a ton of money, but the customer, if you get to come to Nobby and I give you a $200 discount, that's what's off my website. Well, that basically paid for your ticket. So
Yeah. Well, it's like
I
I had my club meeting last night, and we have a 30-minute question and answer service or session in the beginning of it before the speaker comes on. And anyway,
Brian had his observation hive right there, and let me tell you, I finally got tired of it being there because everybody wanted to buy one of them. He had two of them there, and Granny on here, she wants one of them, and it's Brian's fault. Brian, I tell you, you wait till I see you, brother. It's your fault. I have to make another one of them things. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a lady that was looking for a horizontal beehive, and your name's out there because one of the other gals that is in our club who does her husband actually made her hives for her, but she says it isn't horizontalhives.com. I said, no, it's called Horizontal Bees. Yeah. And it's Ricky. And I said, he's a friend of mine. And I said, this is where you need to go. And he'll custom make anything you want, and all that. And then I also know Diane has already ordered one from you.
Yeah, she sure has.
Up there in Pennsylvania. And she wanted, I don't know exactly what she wanted, but she got what she wanted. So, your name's out there, the product's out there, the quality's out there. So that's what counts.
That's exactly right.
Hey, Ricky, you're going to have a hard time in 2025 having a couple to outshow what you put out this year.
Well, hey, I need people like you guys tell me what to do.
What's that?
I need you guys to give me ideals to up my game every year. I can't just bring the same thing. I want to bring something different, exciting to the conference. So if you guys have any ideas, say, hey, Rick, make something like this. I'm all for it. I want something different.
I got to get with you and how I do my double stack horizontal hives.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that hive that was
new type.
That hive that you did the electric thing on.
Yeah, that looked really good. That turned out very nice.
That's a cool looking hive.
Yeah.
I like the aesthetics of that.
Yeah, we'll be showing that hive up in Eastern Missouri next month. That was Tom and Melissa. They've asked us to come up there for their conference. And then if anybody wants to be on here that's in North Carolina, we will be at the North Carolina Bee Conference in March. Randy McCaffrey will be there as a speaker there. The one in Missouri, Greg Burns and I think Cameron Jack and a few other the guys will be at the Missouri one. So we'll be out there a little bit. So come on out and be with us if you want to.
Yeah, good stuff.
I got a question. How did you do the electric patterns on those hives? That really looked cool, and I would like to be able to do it myself.
Yeah, so it looked like this. No, I had a
No,
friend of
no,
mine
no,
that
no, 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 no. You don't understand. That's me
yeah,
doing this. In fact, maybe tomorrow they'll turn on the deep brain stimulator, so it'll stop.
so what happened with that was I had a friend that is this mad scientist I work with at G Aviation, and he said, "Hey man," he said, "I can make you one of those with a microwave." And I'm like, "Okay, this is starting to get sketchy already." And so he basically hooked up the amp or the voltage box, and with a couple little electrodes, and he you gonna be mean to me, my little girl? My little girl's picking on me right now. And so he had a dead man switch, and we were standing on some plastic skids just so we wouldn't get electrocuted. You squirt some baking soda with water, and it'll actually burn just like the videos. You can look up on YouTube, and it's really amazing. I think it's so incredible. I'll definitely be doing more of those hives.
Now, doesn't that follow I'll say the veins of the grain or something, how that pattern is created?
It sometimes it does, but it'll pretty much go wherever it wants to. You can dictate it just a little bit. I'm not good with it yet, but that Nick guy that had brought a hive air, I talked to him quite a bit. He brought a vertical with the burns on it. He knew a lot about it, and but now I would tell you, boys, it is very dangerous. It can kill you instantly. That voltage is so
Basic,
high.
basically, the current will follow the easiest path and or the path that has the most metals or conductivity pieces in the wood.
Yeah. It really like the baking soda water. If you sprayed it and it hit the surface, it really liked that and would travel where you was spraying it at.
Yeah.
All right, so you made lines with the baking soda in order to kind of guide it per se.
Yeah, you can do that too. Also,
Yeah.
yep, a lot of fun.
That's my little sparky part in me.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, least resistance.
The years
What do
of
you think
being
about
an
that?
electrical engineer don't help either.
Yeah. What do you think about the hive Hallelujah Farms? You guys like that? The look on that one?
I tell you, we love that. I think that about anybody that walk by it, any pictures I see show up near your hive or your
Yeah.
booth, I think that wound up in the pictures. It was definitely an eye catcher.
Yeah, I've seen people walk by and just take a double look at that one right there and about snap their head off.
Yeah, it was an eye catcher for sure.
Yeah, I need something like that next year. So you guys can think of anything. Just let me know, Matt, Tom. If you know something, let me know, and we'll try something different
Yeah,
with it.
I'll do some thinking or try to. I don't want to hurt myself.
I think that, for price point, you could do, like you say, the observation hive and the observation hive for, let's say, it's portable to go out to fairs or whatever, or the observation hive. I think that Brian bought that was standing on the floor there. You don't see a lot of those being sold.
Right.
I mean, there are some people who have them. I'm not knowing what's quite involved, but that might be another product that, you can expand your, if somebody doesn't want to buy, the horizontal, I want, a small, medium, or large, um, observation hive that's hooked into my house or something like that.
Yeah.
It might.
Well, I think that's what every vendor out there is looking for. Is we got to figure out, hey, what can I bring to the Navi that's going to draw people to my booth? There was a
Well, I
couple
mean, if you
behind
had
us
a,
that didn't
if you
really
had
have
a,
anybody show up to them. So
if you had a observation hive, I mean, I've seen them where they're hinged, where you can kind of fold them. And if you had that lightning strike, as I call it, lumber in there, that looks aesthetic for inside the house, So
yeah, it might be something I'll give it a shot next year. Is doing maybe something like that. And on Ruth had mentioned maybe doing the lightning strike, but burn it really deep. and then do the epoxy blue on it, kind of like the tabletops they do, and maybe do something like that. So we might try something like that next year to give something a little bit more color.
Yeah, like a river
Be a
table.
good version of it.
Yeah.
Like a river table is what they call them.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do
A river hive.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
River hive or whatever, or put some blue, put some silver in there. Outline it
Make
with
it out of river birch and call it the river stream hive or river hive.
Right. There was quite a few good videos of the vendor booths as they rolled by and took videos and stuff. I do appreciate everybody that stopped by and took pictures of our booth and everybody. I tell you, we had always seemed to have a really good group. Whether it's Charlie come by or Tom would be there, or we always had a good group right in front of our booth that I got a chance to really spend a lot of time talking to people, and that really did make it nice for me. I enjoyed that the most, and they would yell at me when we had a customer that had a question, but for the most part, I really did get to talk to a lot of people, and I liked it.
Yeah.
And one of the things
Those
about having
observation hives are very expensive. I don't know why.
one of the things that I noticed about having an expo in the middle of winter when you can't do much with bees, I guess it's a good time to be away from home. But I'm gonna have to tell you, going into those different booths and even loading the equipment and smelling all that wax, I tell you, it gives you the fever of wanting to be in the hive. But thankfully, we're here in South Carolina. We just about hit 60 degrees today in sunshine. So part of our purchase, we bought some Hive Alive fondant. So we were able to pull the top off all 24 of ours today and put some Hive Alive on them. Got a chance to look at them real quick and put them back up, and thankfully they're all doing good. But so we got our mini bee fix in the middle of winter. But I tell you, just smelling all that wax and stuff going on, it makes you want to get back into the hives.
Yeah. Starting Saturday, we're not going to be above freezing for another 10 days.
Yeah, that's us.
Something like that. So it's
Even
going to
for
be a
South
cold
Carolina,
week or two.
We're going to be cold for about 10 days. Looks like we're going to be down into the teens at night and 20s and not getting out of the 40s. And that's cold for us.
You're in the teens. We'll be in the zeros.
Yeah. We talk about cold. We have to qualify that as what South Carolina cold is. We got a couple from our church missionaries to the Native Americans in Montana, and her parents are out there with them now. They go to our church, and we got a message from them this afternoon, and they were calling for light snow. I think it was negative 19 or negative in single digit. It felt like negative 19 over the weekend. I think it's supposed to be like negative 31. Their high is having a hard time breaking zero or single digits. So, yeah, we qualify. South Carolina cold. If we get in the 40s, we're cold.
Right. It's all relative what you're used to.
Our bees are still flying. They're eating everything in sight. That's the only thing about them. We opened a couple today that had mediums on top full of honey, and one of them they wasn't a dab of honey hardly in it. They had eaten the stores, and we've been feeding them as well. So that's the only thing about them. If it cracks 47 degrees, 48 degrees, and the sun's shining, they're flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine were flying a little bit today, not much, but it was just right at 50 degrees. It looks like pretty much all my hives are alive and up and running, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I checked mine. It was 46 and sunny, and they weren't flying, which I was glad.
The log hive that I got out of the forest that the guy had cut down, they were actually out today doing cleansing flights and stuff. So we had about almost 3 inches of rain the other day and then snow on top of that. So I was really surprised to see that hive doing that good. So that's going to be a really good colony in the spring. I can't wait to do a video on that one. And DC, I hadn't done a video in over a year. If y'all didn't know that, I've done some of these live streams with other people, but it's been a year since I've done a video. So One that you've seen at the beginning of this stream was the first video I put together in over a year. So it wasn't very good, but I enjoyed it. So it was something to do.
I did some videoing today. I got to edit it tomorrow.
There's a lot of work
More about my
in
honey
putting
room.
videos up for me. I'm not good at it. I don't speak very good. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this stream to get better at it. But I have to do a lot of editing on my videos. I'm not good at it. And you got people like Charlie there that can just boom. He puts it right out there. But I'm not that way. It takes me a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy doing them though.
Right.
I don't know if I'm that good at editing. I just I don't know. I don't have all the fancy tricks and stuff to go along with it. I need to learn some more of that. But
Right.
like thumbnails, I think they're called.
Yeah. See, I don't know all that stuff. And
I don't know how to
I
do
rely
that
a lot
yet.
on Lee and
Words.
Spanky there on some of that stuff.
But I have learned to film in what would you say, a certain pattern where it all kind of fits together roughly, and then do the trimming. And sometimes it works out to where 15, 20 minutes, I have a film completely edited for what I want to do, and I'm done. And
I started on that video at 10 o'clock yesterday and didn't get done till 2 a.m. That's how long it took me to edit that video. So I am super slow at doing it.
Wow. Yeah. I was just reading the comments there and stuff.
Yeah, Bob's right. He said editing's overrated.
Yeah.
Ricky, it doesn't look like you're gonna have a lot of time for videos this year. Like you're gonna be building hives.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to hire some people up like Tom there since he can build stuff, and I need somebody in South Carolina, so Larry might get you to do that for me, and maybe that'll make my life a little easier.
Ricky, my wife and I are about ready to retire in a year. Maybe we can just move down to your area.
Oh, I'll take that. I'd love to have another beekeeper right next to me.
Never know.
Like Brian there, he does 14 hours, but you can tell a lot of thought went into it. And it's something I was noticing, like Fred Dunn. Now, Fred Dunn is a professional photographer.
Yep.
And he sees things that are like, well, why do you want to stick a camera down a rotten log hole? But he knows how to utilize that and make it an interesting shot. And he has that artistic eye for the camera. And okay, Clay. Well, I'm like I say, I'm going to try to do a very detailed video this coming springtime.
Yeah, I'm going to do one on my 666.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the 3-way palette that Brad does and Ian and all that. The same kind of principle.
Yeah, it's modeled after that, but it's on a stand, not on a palette. But same concept.
But
I like it.
Yeah, it's what if you can take any type of method that you're using and get it to manipulate, like I say, you're manipulating those bees in order to get them to do certain things and stuff like that.
They almost even have to put the pollen up above for the queen.
But
Brian did a real good job in his video.
Well, it's like Sandy was talking about, doing the hog half combs, or let's say you're doing the Ross rounds combed honey. I have no experience with it, but what I've been told and what I've taught through videos and stuff, you have to have a super strong hive. And you also, of course, have a really good flow. And one thing that I noticed was some folks have told me that you kind of have to have a dedicated hive just for that, You can't have regular honey supers on you in order because you're wanting them to draw the comb out, fill it, and cap it, and you need to get it out of that hive as quick as possible because you don't want their dirty feet to track it. Because the longer they stay on it and they track it dark, then it doesn't look pretty. And comb honey is
Right.
all about being pretty.
That's right.
Yeah, I've got two. I've got one um, of the 8 frame Ross Browns
Hmm.
setups. I've had it in for 2 years now, and have not got any of that filled out. No production out of that eight frame one. I
You
bought
know,
last year. I bought the Ceracell adapters and put 8 frames, Ross Brown frames in my long hives, and got about a 50% production
right.
in my long hives. But in
Now, was
the
that because of more bees being in there? Maybe.
I don't know. I've tried 2 years now on what I thought were strong hives, and
Mhm.
it just
Well, that's like I've been, raising queens and setting up a cell builder, and everybody is always hammers about grafting, and I says, yeah, I went to the honey show. It was 2019, I think, in Knoxville. There was a small uh, it was a small conference, 2-day conference, and Kent Williams was there. And within 5 minutes, he had me grafted. And I said, "Is this all there is to it?" He said, "Yep." He said, "The main thing is getting the right age larvae," which I figured that out to where, if you see jelly in the cell, but you can't see anything floating in the jelly,
That's
then
perfect.
it's perfect because that's the right age. Because when you put your magnification unit on, you will be able to see something in there just barely, and that's the
Yeah.
perfect larvae to graft from. But the other half of the equation is really more important than the grafting part. Is the fact that if you don't set up a cell builder with nurse bees and the right amount of bees, and you think you have bees in there, um, you need about twice as much more bees than what you really think you have in that cell builder. And
Yeah.
that's my one of my things that I'm going to try to. I talked to a friend of mine that who lives within an hour of me, and he does his own queens. And I said, what? He said, you don't set a cell builder up. Oh, I'm going to raise queens. Let's set one up today, and then graft for tomorrow. He says you need to set that cell builder up, a week or 2 weeks in advance, and gather all your, you're going to get those um, cap frames. And then, of course, those bees are going to be your nurse bees coming out of them frames. You need to get them all, where they've hatched, and and that kind of stuff. And then use queen excluders where you, like you say, like I said about the single brood chamber. If you got nukes, resource nukes, put a queen excluder on there and bring up frames of cat brood up top with no bees on them. And then the bees will migrate up there to cover those bees up to keep them warm. And two things, you're going to have nurse bees under, where that's going to hatch out. And the bees that are on there are nurse bees. And there's no queen there for sure. You don't have to worry about that, and you don't have all that wasted time trying to find a queen and all that. And then you can just transfer all that over to that cell builder without any problems. And except for, going back every 2 or 3 days and shaking the bees off for sure, and then checking to see whether there's any volunteer queen cells. And
Right. Because
Yeah,
I
I think
work Monday through Friday, I like to set mine up on Saturday. Then on the following Saturday, or on Friday, I'll check for if there's any queen cells. Then on Saturday, I'll graft.
all
That
right, so
seems to work out pretty good.
you set your builder up a week in advance then.
A week ahead of time, uh, one Saturday ahead of time. Then
Okay.
that following Friday evening after work, I'll go shake all the check each frame, knock any cells down.
Do you think that's a little bit too long to wait to do that checking, or would you if
Nah,
you
I don't have any.
set it up on that Saturday, if you checked it, let's say on a Wednesday, 3 days or 4 days later, would be more
It would be better,
safer?
but
Safer.
if I wait to that 6th day, I don't have to. I mean, those cells will be big enough that I won't miss any, which is makes it a little bit easier, especially when they put them on the end, bottom end. They seem to
Mhm.
hide.
Well, that's something I just learned. Um, at the conference. And here, the guy lives an hour or so, let's say hour and a half from me. But we got in a conversation either at the conference or at dinner about, raising queens. And this was my downfall, and to be a much more aggressive queen rearer. And so that, this is the stuff that these are these that see right there. That's the minute detail
Yep.
that either makes or breaks the technique. Is that, oh no,
Right.
you set up 7 days or 10 days prior to grafting. And then you also check and you also make sure you shake all the bees off of them frames so you can see any volunteer queen cells, because they might be up in, if you got a wooden frame, there might be up in the corner there, and it might not really look like a cell at the time, but you can definitely tell there's a larvae in there. You need to nick
Right.
that out of there. And those are the
And if,
details that what I talked about earlier, like through anything that I try to teach in my channel. So, that I want you to know every aspect so you can be successful in a technique. And
right.
I'll
And if you think it might be a cell and you can't tell, cut it out anyway.
cut it out anyway. That's
Better be
exactly
safe than
right.
sorry.
Yep.
A
And
few extra
most
drone
people will
cells or
bring up a
brood cells
frame.
cut out won't hurt anything.
Yeah, most people will bring up a frame and they'll see, um, they'll have bees on it, and they'll look to see whether they see any queen cells, voluntary queen cells, and you might see ones on the face of the frame, and
Yeah.
but they'll miss ones up in them corners that are not quite fully developed that stand out.
You
So
gotta shake those bees off, then look.
yeah, well, that's a small technique that
Detail.
somebody might just kind of skim over that, and not say it, and then they're saying, "Well, wait a minute, uh, all my cells were torn down that I grafted." Well, that's because there's a queen in there someplace.
Right.
And
I
then
had that happen to me. I had that happen to me 2 years ago. I had a virgin queen from my other hive next to it fly into that hive.
that's exactly right. It will happen
I
that
had
way.
98%. I checked it. I went to check it 2 days later. Everyone torn down.
Right. That's where you put a queen excluder on the bottom board so they can't fly, because
Yeah.
queens, as far as I know, a queen can smell those hives that are queenless, and they will be
Yeah.
attracted to that hive because it is queenless. And I would
Well,
say it's
I
either
forgot.
smell, and it's also you know how bees are when they're queenless, they're noisy. They put out the queenless roar, and I think sound also
Right.
has a effect with them coming back and going into a queenless hive. So that's
Yeah.
another
I
thing I
forgot
think.
to turn the dial to queen excluder mode.
To my
It's like,
queen.
oh man, that's
The
another
only
little
problem with
detail.
that virgin queen, sometimes they might be able to get through that queen excluder because they're skinny.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's better
Possibility of
than
that, but
just
and the
having a 1 inch
downside is
open hole.
if there's any drones that hatch out, they can't get out of the hive too. So
Right.
sometimes you have to take it out, let them all fly, let all that fly out and stuff like that. Now, what was Clay? He was talking about Paul Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think DC said Paul Kelly would be a good person, but now that I remember, Paul Kelly was there at the conference. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
He
was
was.
there. He
Yep.
had a booth. Hey, Nancy, there's the big prize winner there
Yeah.
on the what was it, silent auction and everything. But Paul Kelly did talk about single brood chamber management. But one of the things that I'll say that he reconfirmed is something I learned myself through talking to Ian and Brad and James is their honey season is 3 months or so later than ours, and it puts them in a different climate and all that stuff, and they don't have the swarming issue as much as what we do, or less. With me, April, May, and June is honey season. April, May, and June is swarm season. It overlaps, so I have to work my hives differently than theirs and stuff and all. But Nancy, she
big winner.
She bought
Yes,
the what was that portable feeding cart that's self-propelled.
Yeah.
And it also pumps the fluid out, and you can also carry stuff with it. And it's got places for your tools and your smoker, and it's the ultimate cart for your hive area.
The cart was nice looking.
It was very nice.
Very nice, very sturdy. Everything, the basket of the wagon was all solid steel. There wasn't any, it was just solid all the way around. And then I just watched LaRabi's video of that, and the guy from Cowan Manufacturers said they might make another version of that with an upper deck to put more supers or whatever on top of it with something about a swing out type of toolbox or something of that nature.
My son's a welder. I need to get a hold of him to start making a few of those things.
And it's sold 600 pounds. That's a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm, that's really a lot.
And all that. So, but
Nancy, if you need a place to use that now, you can come down here to North Carolina. I'd be glad to try that out.
yeah, got a lot of them hills down there.
Yeah, we got some hills. I need it bad.
Yeah. And all, but
guys, I'm getting ready to jump off, but I just wanted to. I appreciate time coming in, and Ricky, thank you so much. My wife really enjoyed talking to Ruth, and I tell you, it's just, and of course, you got a long list, but for the end of the year, we'll probably get our name on that list as well. And so after taking a look at them, we've got some ideas. I think we're pretty close to getting it nailed down.
Okay.
But we enjoyed talking with you, and Tom, it was good to meet you. And we didn't have any honey to carry, so we didn't go do any swapping, but Charlie gave us a bottle of his honey. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
and,
no problem.
From 33.
Yeah, I like the idea that somebody posted of having a meeting next year where everybody can swap.
Yeah, instead of us bumping into each other, we can all get together as a group.
Right.
But we thoroughly enjoyed it.
Maybe some Thursday lunchtime or 2:00 in the afternoon or something. Or maybe in the morning, so we can unload everything.
Guys, I'm going to jump off here too, and I want to say everybody in the chat, we appreciate everybody that come out and listen to us today, and appreciate everybody, Dave and Larry here coming on, and Tom and Charlie, and of course Spanky with us tonight. And we always have Lee in the background, so he's always
David down there.
There he is. But we're going to jump off here tonight. We're just going to say thank you to everybody. God bless your bees. And, until probably we might do this next Thursday. We'll see if I can talk Lee into it, and we'll see y'all then. God bless.
All right.
Sounds good. Night, everyone.
You can all come over and tomorrow night. I'll have a chat at 8 p.m.
Yeah, come on over to Charlie's chat. It's really good.
Yeah. All you got to
do,
is
Charlie. I might.
All right, good. So just subscribe if you're not already to my channel. So I'm on Charlie's Bee Farm, and you'll get a notification.
Yeah, hit mine, Maccabee. At Maccabee.
All right.
All right. Night.
Good night.